I'm in senior management. That line is interesting itself. I've been told I need to restructure my team. On the list of people to potentially let go is someone who's been with us from the start. He's loyal, dependable, helpful, and he built the foundation of what we are today. But the truth is, this business has outgrown him. He hasn't adapted to the pace, and newer hires are lapping him in performance and innovation. I keep wondering, is it disloyal to let him go? How do you make peace with decisions that feel like a betrayal, even when it makes business sense?
Oh, wow. That's a hard one.
Okay.
Ouch.
Oh,
That's
you Seok Hian.
Difficult one they give me.
Yeah. Any
Yeah,
thoughts? Any thoughts? Any starting thoughts?
Okay. This is really difficult usually. I can
Yeah.
empathize with the
Yeah.
letter writer, right? And I mean, when I work with startups, this usually happens like in the 5th to 7th year of the startup. And that's when sometimes founder team or founders
Yeah.
start to experience this a lot. Yeah, because for a startup to exist after 5 years, I think they must have done something good and able to scale by then.
Yeah.
So that's when they start to feel that, oh, because startup usually how they function is like, oh, I invite all my friends, join my venture, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
not every friends can kind of really grow with a company, which is true. So similar to this situation where the team or certain team members was left behind. So I think a lot of times my advice to people in such a situation is that to help them differentiate between trust and contracts. So with people and relationship, we talk about trust. Yeah. But with organizations, we talk about contracts and engagements. And this actually means that there is a difference between a personal capacity and a professional capacity at the workplace. And both operate at the same time most times. And now is when you have a paradox or when you have a opposing objective, you want to keep the relationship at the same time, you need to fulfill the professional agenda objectives. This is where you need to also differentiate what is really supporting these two types of capacity, the professional and the personal one. Yeah. I think first is to really help the letter writer in this case to understand that these two are two things. Most time it can be born together when the person is still performing in the role. Yeah. But when there is no performance and you still have the relation, that's when it starts to drift apart. Yeah. So therefore, how I normally would address this kind of situation is to even check in with the manager, in this case, the letter writer, like, do you think the person is really happy also doing the job? Yeah. A lot of times it's like we feel that, oh, it's so bad. We want to keep the person. We kind of buy time for the person. But the person is clearly not performing, is being outgrown by the company. And does the person actually feel happy and fulfilling in that role that they are now playing? Do you think the person doesn't know? Or does the person know that he or she is falling behind? Yeah. I think that would be a good space to start. Because a lot of times is people are just, or managers are just thinking on their own and not really knowing how the person is actually still in the la la land or, kind of like also suffering, per se. And maybe just staying on as well, or hanging on just for that relationship, even though they are not feeling, not having the dignity at work.
What if it is not the case? I mean, in this case, like you said, it is the person actually is totally oblivious about the situation, and yeah, of course, there are days where they may not feel extremely fulfilled in this case, but generally they're okay, right? In this case, so they
So it's
just
still in the la la land, right?
yeah. I mean the La La Land bit, right? So what happens? I mean, if let's say when you speak to that person and you need to make difficult decisions.
So if the person is still in la la land, then it's actually not a termination issue, but it's a feedback issue. That means there's a total lack of feedback or effective feedback to let the person know, such that they don't even know where they stand right now.
When I got this letter, the first thing that came to my mind was more of like how did he even come to this position?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that is something which I think it angers me to a certain extent when you have to come to this position.
Yes.
That means, in other words, right from the beginning, such organizations, not specifically for letter writer, but in most organizations, they look at talents or people in the company as widgets in this case, as like, oh, you know, I hire this person to just get the job done, and there isn't any plan for career growth and so on, right? So when it comes to such a situation where restructuring needs to happen because of economic reasons, then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, then they check the Excel sheet and say,
Yeah.
oh, this person is earning more and this person is only giving 10% capacity. Okay lah, we'll do something about it, you know. So I think it's very sad that such things happen, and in fact, quite recently also I had a conversation as well with another person, very similar to a certain extent to what the letter writer is going through. It's just that a bit unfortunate that he inherited this team. So I'm not too sure whether or not it's the same thing as a letter writer. So he inherited this particular team. It's like a promotion, but so he was moved to another division. He inherited this team, and which means there is no control, right? So when he inherited the team, then so there's this particular person in the team which is very senior, both in age as well as also in position as well, like a senior manager in this case.
Okay.
So this person which I was talking to, somehow I felt that they were trying to manage this, let's call this senior person Carmen. It felt like he was trying to manage Carmen out to a certain extent. Just that unfortunately the person I'm talking to inherited this team, and then the boss say like, okay, you know, so please get Carmen right now, because Carmen has been doing operations all this while for many years in the company, and so kind of like told her to say, okay, I need so told this person I was talking to, please tell Carmen that now she will be moved to a more strategic position. You have to do strategy right now, not operations. So the whole life Carmen has been doing operations, then now I have to move to strategy, right? So that particular move was very uncomfortable for this person I was talking to, because kind of like the writings on the wall for this person in this case, right? And when my friend was asking like the reason and so on, he says, oh, it's because felt that Carmen was overpaid for the position, and only doing about 10% of the job, and we need to get Carmen to be more involved in more strategic things in this case. I think it's quite difficult for this friend of mine to handle this case, because Carmen is a very senior person in age and finds it very difficult to suddenly ask me to do strategy. You know, all this while I've been doing operations, right? I don't know,
Exactly.
it's very overwhelming for that person. So to cut the long story short, so Carmen resigned, right? Yeah. So but what my contact, my friend mentioned, said, I thought he did it really well in terms of like, he managed the boss as well. He managed the boss to say that, you know, look, that's I understand where you're coming from a business standpoint, like you said, in terms of contract, but let me give me time, right? 3 months or something like that, for me to be able to attempt to train her, train Carmen up. So I think it was very, very, it's a right thing for this contact or friend of mine to do it. So I actually attempted to train Carmen, a systematic way of helping Carmen out, how to become much more strategic and so on. It's just that unfortunately, after Carmen wasn't doing anything at all because it was just too overwhelming. Even though the task has been given, let's try this. So if it was too overwhelming, then my contact will try to break it down to smaller pieces. Even that also, Carmen was just sitting on it because it was just too much. I mean, can't cross the chasm in this case. Yeah. So much so that that Carmen was supposed to present something strategic to the big bosses and she couldn't. And I think that broke the camel's back lah. So the next day, Carmen just threw in the resignation letter in this case lah. I think what hurt my friend as well in this case was I think Carmen felt that my friend was, you know, kind of like go around telling people to say that, oh, you know, that he's teaching too fast, I cannot understand, you know, things like this. Then my friend said, look, I can't help it. I mean, there's something
it
which
was
I
a given
cannot,
time, right?
But at least I know, I'm at peace to know that I have already tried my best, you know, to balance both what the company needs as well as also trying my best to retain this person in this case. And it just so happened it didn't turn out to be how it is lah. Yeah, so it's not going to be exactly like what this letter writer is going through, but there are a lot of you know, this tension of trust and contract to a certain extent. Yeah, so I just thought I wanted to just share that story, and I'm not too sure what the letter writer will get out from it. But all in all, I think what the letter writer should be considering is to, like what you say about not too sure whether or not this person is really happy, right? So is to be able to reframe the word loyal. I think the letter writer used the word loyal quite a fair bit.
The betrayal.
You know, to reframe loyalty, right? What does loyalty here means? Because if this person, like you said, is not really happy in the position, and is not being told that you need to, you know, to step up in this case, right? Then it's not really about loyalty. In fact, it's actually betrayal.
Yes.
Right? You're actually betraying that relationship, that trust, that the so-called the trust contract in this case, right? Because you are supposed to be, you know, helping to grow this person in this case, and now the very last minute you say, oh, you know what, you're not fit in this case. So I think that is really not loyal. Yes, we have to first of all acknowledge that this person has contributed. Like you say, for example, let's say if it's a startup, the first 3-4 years have contributed to build the foundation. But however, business is dynamic, right? Things move very quickly and all. So this person also need to move according to the times as well. So I think this letter writer, in order to feel that I think need to feel at peace. How do you make peace with the decision? Yeah. So to help him to feel at peace with this decision is to be able to reframe the word or his understanding of what loyalty is, because if it will be in fact disloyal or betray of not helping this person grow in their life in this case. Any thoughts on what I just said?
I think there are actually two folds to this kind of situation. One fold is, you know, the systemic fold, where how did they come to this hard decision, right? And what could they have done to actually make this difficult decision less difficult? The other one is like what you said, you know, someone inherited and they are already at the difficult decision. In the short term, near term, what can they do? And I love the examples, I mean the stories you shared about that manager who really is doing the right thing in this case, about how can you buy time, manage upwards, manage downwards, and at the same time, you know, try the best to make things work, because clearly the person wasn't set up for success by moving a person from operation to strategy. So that part I think is taken care of, and people should really kind of sit them down with Carmen, for example, in this case. I think the missing party here is the Carmen. You know, what do Carmen think? What do Carmen want? What are the needs of Carmen that she wants to fulfill? So it is usually at a partnership discussion because it really involves and heavily affect Carmen with this decision making, right? So if especially Carmen is senior person enough, it actually might be more optimized to bring Carmen in to have a discussion to say, look, this is the current situation, and how can we support you in this case, rather than decide on and make the decision onto Carmen and kind of like, okay, this is what we are going to do. Because Carmen may actually decided 3 months earlier to say that, no, I don't think I can catch up. I know where I want. I just want to maybe just serve 1 month notice and I'll go. Rather than go through the pain and agony of 3 months trying to learn something she doesn't want, things like that. So I think that there should be consultation with Carmen to get her inputs. Yeah, of course, but sometimes people may not be so logical and mature. I understand, and therefore they risk, kind of upsetting the person and become toxic and all this. So if it's a toxic situation, it's a separate handling. What I do want to highlight is that there is many times is that when I talk to co-founders who are in this situation where they build a team, now one of the co-founder is not, stepping up. I did tell them that, they unfortunately come to this situation. But given that you all have not done properly and the person is still in the la-la land, now you have to at least spend 3 months or 6 months with the person to kind of give feedback and discuss with this person what they plan to do, what their needs are. Because I always use the word tuition fees. I said, you have took the easy way out all this while and the person is still in the la-la land, and now you have to pay the tuition fee by tolerating 3 more months. Yeah, to actually help this person kind of like, and this is your lesson that you need to learn as a leader as well. Yeah. So I don't let them see that, oh, this is my jurisdiction, I have the authority, and therefore I can get away with it. I think it's very important that in any kind of conversation or decision making, leaders needs to learn so that they don't repeat the same thing again. Yeah. So I think it's really about multi-perspective when it comes to such a difficult position. If they have done their part, for example, let Carmen know and all this, and after sending her for a lot of training and mentoring or whatever, it still doesn't work, then too bad. Then it shouldn't be a difficult decision in the first place. It shouldn't be a betrayal conversation in the first place.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure it's the same for this letter writer, because it feels quite urgent to do the restructuring, right? I'm not too sure whether the letter writer would have the luxury to discuss with the bosses and kind of say that, hey, let's have a discussion. It's almost like, I don't know, and let's not assume. So I think what we're saying to the letter writer is to have the conversation with this person that will be affected, and rope this person in that conversation, in this case, right? And so that you don't act on behalf or decide on behalf of this person, and kind of blindside this person, to actually have the conversation and to state the facts, right? To say that, like, we acknowledge that, that you have been contributing so and so, just kind of state it as it is, and to then discuss to say, what would be the possible, and this is where we probably need you most in this case to justify your position in this case, right? And to allow time as well, right? Like say 3 months, 6 months, and so on. If not, then the organization will have, or the leaders will have to continue to pay tuition fees in this case. I think for startups could be an easier discussion, but for big organizations sometimes may not. They just need to cut people, that kind of thing. Yeah. So.
I've also had very mature leaders in those situations, like they inherit or have to execute a decision. They continue to keep the relationship with Carmen. After Carmen leaves, right, or terminated, and therefore support Carmen at a relational level. Meaning that being a direct supervisor, they can write a testimony, or they can be the reference referee and all this, and maybe spread the word to say that, hey, I have a pretty good, employee who actually is strong in this area, help them look for a job and all this. So there can be actually personal support. Yeah, and again, it goes back to our earlier conversation where there is a professional capacity and a personal capacity. Yes. So it doesn't mean that it stops you. While in the professional capacity, you may be hand-tied, but then in the personal capacity, what can you do as a human being? Yeah, I think leadership basically is also about the leader, not just the work. Yeah.
Okay. Oof, tough one. Anything you want to add on before I try my best to recap again? What are some of the actions that the letter writer can do?
I think the last thing to highlight is that don't retain out of sympathy. Yeah.
Oh.
So sympathy is where you know the person cannot make it, but you are trying to get the person hang on, right? Although you know the person likely not succeed. So sympathy has a judgment where it has a power difference. I think compassion is where you believe the person can thrive elsewhere. You believe that the person is also not happy. Bring the person in for a consultation and check all the assumptions and help the person find the most optimal decision making. After all, this is Carmen's career, Carmen's life, for example, right? So she should have a say, ideally, in it. But of course, I understand how sometimes companies operate. Yeah.
Understand. Okay. So what are we telling the letter writer is that first of all, there is this understanding that there is this two types of so-called contracts.
Yes.
The personal contract as well as the professional contract. And the personal would be a lot got to do with the relationship, and the professional contract is got to do a lot with got to do with the company in this case, and then it's the two separate things. So the letter writer needs to understand there's two separate things. So that I think also would definitely help the letter writer to be a bit of at peace, to understand that it is, it's not betrayal to a certain extent. And the second thing is also to reframe what loyalty here means in this case, right? So we talk about if you continue to prolong it, then it's actually betrayal, right? And then just before we went to this recap, you also mentioned as don't retain our sympathy in this case versus compassion, right? So compassion has a more growth aspect to it, to say, look, I look at you as a person, I want to help you as a human being. It may not necessarily be here in this organization, it could be somewhere else as well. So in this case, then it's also really about providing that continued support to this person outside of our organization. Like, for example, refer this person to another organization, be the referee for this person in this case. So that part of the personal contract part is being managed as well, right? If it's possible, I think in this case, before we even get to that, it's also for the letter writer to try to buy time in this case, to manage outputs and say that give time, let me try to figure out a way to have this honest conversation with this person, and also allow like maybe 3 months or 6 months to see whether can it be optimized for another position. The letter writer should really consider also to manage upwards as well, to buy time for this person, to be able to say like, this give me 3 months or 6 months in this case, to be able to manage the situation and to see how we can further optimize. And it's kind of like test and see where the upper management, whether or not they have got the appetite for that. But at least this person should try to at least have a peace of mind in this case.